Hi guys, my name is Andrei and today I wanted to show you how my application, the TileMaker DOT application, works. If you download it, you'll get this folder and inside it you can see you have a README file. It contains some useful information, so please give it a read. Next up, we have an executable. This is what you'll be using to start the application. I created a shortcut on the desktop, but I'll be starting it from here. And when you start it, you can see you have some parameters which are configurable either by hand or from the assets folder inside the tile.make application. It contains a settings folder, and here are the default values which are auto-completed every time you start the application. So if you want to have different values by default here, you need to change them from those text files. Let's go through them one by one. The first one is the path for the assets folder. If you only write assets, it will look for the relative path for the jar file. So the assets folder will need to be in the same location with the jar file, but you can give it an absolute path. For example, C, I don't know, somewhere else on your computer. But I'll use the relative path. The next one is the tile size, the size of your tiles. Mine are 200, but maybe your game it's only 32 by 32 pixels per tile, and you can put that there. The next one is the grid size, so the map size, the size of the map itself. Let me open this real fast. So the default grid size. The values which you'll be adding here will be represented on those quick action buttons. And the first value from the default grids text will be auto-completed in the text file. Okay, so usually my map starts from 100 by 100 and you can extend it or remove it or make it smaller after you start the application. I'll come back to this button later, okay? So for now, we'll start the application like this. I'll start with a 50 by 50 map today. And this is how the application looks. Okay, this is the area which you will be using to build your map. And you have a selection preview zone which will show you the currently selected object or tile. So if I change the tile, the tiles are at the bottom of the application and the objects are on the left side of the application. And every time I change from one to another, it will preview me my currently selected object. And the application has three layers. It has the tile layer, the objects layer, and the NPCs layer. This means that you don't have to manually create and add multiple layers and sort them in order to render them in the correct position, because the application knows to do that automatically for you. And this is what I've been working on, because I want it to be as easy and as fast to use as possible, but I'll show you in a second. Every object, if you hover over it, you have the name of it, okay? The ID and the size. The size is represented in tiles. So a size of 2 by 3 means that it have a width of 2 tiles and a height of 3 tiles, for example, and so on. Okay. The important thing is that, let me go back to the assets folder real quick. Let's go in objects, for example, and we are in the timber. So let's go in timber, of course. The naming scheme for this application is the following. The first thing should be the ID of the texture, followed by the name of it, because the application will read the IDs for every texture and import them accordingly. So if we use, for example, this tree with this ID, if we put it on the map and we will export it, the exported file will contain this ID for this object, okay? This was important for me because some other application assigned some IDs by default and I was not able to change them, and I wanted to have this flexibility to define my own IDs because when I'll add other textures in the future, it will not change the ID of the currently existing ones. And yeah, this was important for me. The assets folder contains, like I said, the NPCs, objects, and tiles, and all those folders have some subfolders. You can see the fact that gardening, for example, this subfolder is found here. And by creating new subfolders and adding objects inside of it, you will, after you load the application, you will see them in this tab, in this objects tab. The same goes for the NPCs, okay? And for the tiles also. It's the same thing. Okay. What else I wanted to show you? Well, let me do something real quick. You can see that there is a functionality for auto tiles. I'll disable the grid because I like it when I see it without the lines. Okay. In order for this to happen, for the tiles, you have a subfolder called Autotiles. Inside of it, you can have the textures which the application will use in order to make those fluid lines, those intersections between two types of tile textures. In my case, they are taken from here. And the naming scheme for this is first two IDs are the IDs of the intersecting tiles, so 20 and 19. We can see that this one is 20 and the other one is 19, okay? ID 19, ID 20. The third ID would be the ID from which the auto tiles will start. So the first, this one, the corner one would be 560, and from it will increment by 1. So the next one would be 561 and so on. And the last thing would be the name of the auto tile, okay? Yeah. What else can I tell you? Well, let me show you actually. Let's say that we want to move those outside, so we need to create a new folder. Let's say snow, why not? Okay. And we don't care about city hidewalk. I implemented something interesting because if we add this at the end of a subfolder, maybe you have too many subfolders and you want to hide them, but you don't have to remove them from your assets folder, and you can just do this. I'll close the application. I'll start it again. This is my shortcut, by the way, on the desktop, so it's the same like running. I pressed OK, but it said that I have a hidden folder. It let me know. And yes, you can see that the city sidewalk is not down here anymore. And I have the snow one added, okay? Because I moved them from the nature to snow, those textures. So this is how it works. Now, going back to the application, let's go through every option one by one. Let's say that I want to make a road. For the tiles, I can either hold the left mouse click and drag them to build, not to build, but to fill the map, or I can hold the shift button and you see, drag and paint with the selected tile. Now, I have the undo and redo button, okay, so I can Ctrl-Z shortcut and undo or redo. And we have the fill entire map and fill empty tiles. Well, for the fill empty tiles, for example, if I select another tile and I want to fill the blank area around the tiles which are already filled, if we press the fill empty tiles, it will fill around them. This is useful for, I'll show you later. And the fill entire map will just fill the entire map with the selected tile. let's just fill the entire map with the green grass. And let's say I want to make a road, so I'll do something like this. Now, I want to extend, let's say that the map is too small and I want to extend it. Let's extend it to the right by 20 tiles. It will add 20 tiles to the right. And let's select the green grass and I will just fill the empty tiles because I don't want to fill it manually. So this is quite helpful for me for when I extend my map. But let's say that the map is too big. So we can make it shorter by, let's go to the right also. And by pressing the minus and then 20, it will subtract 20 from the total size of the map. Yeah, and this is the new size. It works the same in all 4 directions. Okay, what else can I show you? Let's go on. So this is the Objects tab. I already showed you that we have the timber. And yeah, let me disable the grid. The shortcut is G. I got used to the shortcuts, but I'll try to press the buttons for them so you can see what I'm pressing. So like I said, the application knows where to render those objects. So on the objects layer, you don't have to do anything, just paint the objects and it will know where to position them regarding to the other objects around it, okay? So you don't have to create lots of layers because the application knows how to render them in order to show you where they are positioned and position them accordingly. Okay, next thing we have the NPCs. Let's go for some villagers. Those are the non-playable characters in your game and you can add them on this layer. This is how I do for my game. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, we have too many objects, so you can erase some objects by pressing the erase button or the E shortcut. This is how I do it really fast. And this is how you delete some objects. What can you do? Well, let's say that you want to position this tree and you don't want to go back to, I don't know, objects and find it. You can, if you hold the shift button, you'll get this. And if you right click on it, it will take that object and you can paint fast. So I have this tree, I take it, I want with this one and so on. And I can build a big forest quite fast. Okay, let's turn the grid back on. Let's see what we have here. For the NPCs, maybe you want to have a predefined route for them to walk in your game and you don't want to make them walk everywhere. This is, for example, useful for me. And you can place an NPC walk area by doing this and hold the shift button, like for tiles, and drag the mouse. Yeah, you can, sorry, I'm going back in it. I switched out of it. Yeah, you can set a path for it. So I'll just put it here, for example. And when you export it, this will be exported with the ID of 1 in the NPCs layer because it's about NPCs. Okay, good. Now let's continue the road down here. Let's do something like this. Okay, I'll turn the grid off. I like it more like this. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, by clicking the send object count, the application will tell you how many objects, so in my case those are the trees and the logs, are on the map, and how many NPCs and how many tiles. This is useful for me, it's some useful info, I guess. You can toggle some maps. So for example, if we toggle the object map, the shortcut is O on the keyboard. You can hide those in your game, so it looks cleaner. So maybe if you want to find an NPC, you can turn those layers off. The same goes for the NPC layer. You can turn it on or off. You see that my NPCs are disappearing when I turn the NPC map off. And the same goes for the tile map. Maybe you want to have a better view of some objects or some NPCs and you just turn the map off. I already showed you the grid. What can I do about this toggle cursor position? Let's say that maybe you want to set a spawn point for your player in the game, and by doing this you can see the coordinates for every tile in the game. So for me it's useful if I want to place my player here on this position, then I know what the coordinates for it are, and yeah, it lets me do it faster in my game. Let's turn this off. Live placement. Let's say that you want to show someone your application and you have some object selected. You can just turn it off, the preview for it. So it's cleaner when you show someone around your map. Yeah, you can already see that you cannot place the same object, another object where an already existing object is placed. And yeah, the preview shows you that you cannot place it because it's red. The preview is red. Okay. Yeah, toggle auto tile. This is useful sometimes because maybe you want to see how the tiles are positioned. And the shortcut is A, by the way. And yeah, I use this sometimes. It's just a preview button. And I also added a night mode because maybe you want to see how the game looks at night. Of course, it will not look like in your game, but it's, I don't know, maybe useful to see how some textures looks in the dark a little bit. And the last button, it's a help button. So all of those functionalities are mentioned here. You can see them. And if you don't remember what they do, you can just read it here. A short description. Another thing, let's say that, let's draw a house. I don't know, villages, okay. I'll paint this one here and this one here. Maybe you want to have an object painted on top of it. Well, in that case, let me find the crest, okay. Okay, if you hover over an object, it will tell you the name, the ID, and the size of it, like I said. But you can see that here is a hashtag A. This means that if the name contains somewhere the hashtag A at the end, then it will paint this object on top of every other object. So you can do stuff like this, okay? You can paint these details on top of an already existing object. And by using the same principle, there are some objects like the rugs, which should be always painted at the back. So if you write a hashtag B for them, you can see that they are always painted behind every other object. So all those NPCs can walk on top of it. Okay, I pressed E to remove those. I just wanted to show you. Okay, yeah, I'll remove those.